Hey guys, Horror Man back for another review. So today we're going to take a look at basically my holy grail of action figures. This is the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 1990 movie Casey Jones and Raphael in Disguise 2-pack set. This thing is amazing, and it's also very, very hard to find. So I've been very, very excited for this, so I'm going to try to review this as a regular review, but I'm also probably going to gush over this a little bit. So go ahead and take a look at the packaging here before we get started into the actual figures. You got the little Nickelodeon symbol here, you got the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 1990 logo, you got Casey, Raphael in Disguise, and you got the awesome classic picture of the Turtles kind of coming out of that sewer there. Alright, and then over to the back of the box, again you get that Nickelodeon logo, 1990 Turtles logo. The Casey Jones and Raphael in Disguise is written in that same cool logo, glowing green look. Then you also get a nice read-up of the movie, talks a little bit about Casey and Raph, and then you can see that cool picture NECA did recreating those old Turtles photos, and then the FHE logo has been replaced with the NECA logo, so very cool. Not much on the top, just the logo again, and then on the bottom you just get the credits as usual. You do get some cool pictures of Casey on one side, and then over to the other side you get some really cool pictures of Raph. So overall, really cool packaging art, but the coolest part is what's inside. So let's go ahead and get these out of the package and get a closer look. Alright, so here they are outside of the packaging. And man, these look like they step right off the movie screen. I mean, I can't tell you how excited I am to see these in figure form. Before I gush too much, let's go ahead and we'll start first on just taking a close-up of the sculpts on both of them. We'll talk a little bit about the articulation, mainly with Casey Jones. We'll get to the accessories, interchangeable parts. We'll do some epic comparisons from, vintage stuff, new stuff, a little bit of the NECA, so we'll do a little bit of everything for comparisons. And I'll give you my final thoughts. So let's go ahead and get a nice close-up, starting with the star of the set, Casey Jones. Alright, so taking a look at Casey Jones here, this head sculpt looks fantastic. I mean, it looks really good. Now, if you remember, NECA actually did make the Casey Jones mask, so they should be no strangers to how this looks. But I really like the details in it, the vents for the mouth, the nose, like the eye holes in the actual mask, the little sculpting for like the eyebrow part, the little angles of the mask just look fantastic, man. Like the straps. I mean, everything is just nailed. You can see he's got like a wave to the hair, so it's not just completely like dead straight. Got a little bit of body to that hair, so I do like that. And if you look, I put a little bit more light on it. There actually is eyes behind the mask. I can't get enough light to show the full head sculpt behind the vent in the mouth, but they actually did sculpt a face underneath the mask. And the intention was to release an unmasked version as well, but Elias Koteas just didn't sign off on it. Now, from what a lot of people have kind of talked about, and from what we've been seeing on the internet lately, there's a chance that he did change his mind, but NECA hasn't released anything showing that a contract has changed or any likenesses were granted. And over to the side, again, really nice details. You could really see the angle of the mask, just really cool design. You can see some texture through the actual straps. It's got that kind of cream color, or like tan straps, and you can see the metal parts for the tighteners, so really nice. And again, the hair's got some really nice texturing going on. And over to the back, you can see the different straps on here. So it's not like Jason's mask where you just have the one and then the top one. Casey's mask actually has a strap going underneath of the hair. It's just that his hair is pulled out, kind of covering that strap, and I think that's why they wouldn't be able to do a removable mask on Casey. But overall, I mean, just fantastic sculpt. And down to the torso here and to the neck area, they really make these figures look so realistic. I mean, if you look at the detail in his neck itself, it's just very, very realistic. You also have some chest hair peeking through that shirt there, which is very true to the movie. So I do like that. You got some nice wear on the shirt itself, some different stains and different wrinkles. And you can see a couple of the buttons here. And then the shirt is actually overlaid over top of the body too, so this is a separate piece. And then you also have the jean vest, which is also a separate piece, and you can see how that kind of comes apart just a little bit, which I really like that they layer the figures. It really, to me and many others, it gives it a much more realistic look to it, and I definitely admire that. And then you have, of course, his gloves, which look really good. You got like the holes in the glove, and then you do have some really cool veins showing through the arms here, and this looks really good. And over to the back, you can see again some stitching, some wrinkles in the vest, just some like kind of dirt showing in the clothes. So really great details. Alright, then finally down to the legs of Casey here. You do have his jogging pants or sweatpants, and I love how they've added this texture to it. I'm not sure if this camera is going to pick it up, but there is a texturing through these to kind of give it that look of like those cotton jogging pants. So I'm very happy with that. And then you can see his white socks peeking through between the jogging pants and those black shoes. And the black shoes themselves are really detailed, just fantastic. Alright, so Casey has a pretty good amount of articulation. I do want to go over all that, even though we're not really going to look at Raph. So just looking at the head sculpt here, I mean, because of the hair, he really can't look up really far, but he can look down really far, which is nice. You can pivot a little bit. You could tilt a decent amount, not quite as much as I would hope for, but you do get some, so not too bad. As far as the arms, they'll go pretty much all the way up and all the way down, and they do go out pretty far, so there's really no nothing really hindering anything. I mean, even the jean vest really doesn't hinder anything at all. You could swivel the arm, which is nice. You do, of course, have the double hinged elbows, and then you can also swivel there in that little joint. You just have to make sure that joint's kind of lined up right, otherwise it's going to look kind of weird. And then the wrist will swivel, and then you can kind of cradle the wrist a little bit. So that's pretty cool. So as far as like the upper body, when you get to the arms, the head, it's extremely good. But it kind of gets bad from here, unfortunately. So you can turn, and he can bend over and look back a little bit. And then the legs even can go pretty far out. So you can do, you know, karate kick or whatever. And then you do have just the single hinged knee. And then you can go back a little bit with the leg. And you can rotate a little bit at both spots, a little bit under and below the knee. The problem I have with this figure is the feet. And I think it's the same thing I've seen from other people, is you really don't have any rotation here with the feet. Because of that little area between the shoes and the pants, you really don't get really much at all. You know, like left to right, up and down. I mean, there's nothing. There's a little bit of a joint there. There's no real ankle rocker. It's just an up and down. And because of the lack of the up and down movement, I actually have a hard time standing him up. So you really have to play around with a little bit to get him to stand up just right. So yeah, I mean, from the waist up, it's fantastic. But from the waist down, not that great. But overall, I am happy about the double hinged elbows, so it's not too bad. Alright, so taking a look at Raphael here, again, I mean, NECA's knocked it out of the park with these turtles, so I mean, this is no different. If anything, it's better than what we've seen before. So out of the box, he doesn't have the hat on. You actually have to add that. And I want to show you a couple things with that. But before we get to that, I just want to talk about the hat itself. And it does look really nice. You can see how it's kind of folded up on both sides. And then you do get that little like a bow on the fedora itself, which looks really nice. So you can just pop the hat off. It does look really nice. If I just move this coat around just a little bit, you do get the new bandana. So it actually hangs over both shoulders, and you can even tuck it into the coat so you really don't even see it. So I love this bandana. This is actually my favorite bandana attachment for these 7-inch scale figures. And it just has that same head sculpt we've seen before, so really nothing new in terms of the sculpt itself. But overall, again, it still looks fantastic. And I do want to give you some pointers on putting this hat on. First of all, I actually had popped the head off. I found that was the easiest way to do it. And then once you do that, you're able to kind of just put the hat through the knot. Alright, and then one more thing about the head sculpt with Raph I thought would be kind of cool. If you own that GameStop Wave 2 Raph, he actually had a slightly different mouth. So not the first GameStop release, but the second one that doesn't have the GameStop logo. Those actually had an error on the mouth, and it was assembled a little bit differently. So what you get is a Raph that looks a little bit angrier with all of his teeth showing. So if you have that head, it looks actually really cool in here. It kind of reminds me of the stunt head, but actually better looking than the stunt head. But yeah, if you want an angry Raph that's wearing the trench coat and the hat, then just pop that head off and voila. Alright, taking a look at the rest of the body here. We're really only going to look at the trench coat and the accessories because, you know, if you already have the Raphael, it's the same thing. You know, there's no difference underneath the body. It's the same exact figure. So this is what he looks like without a trench coat. But the actual trench coat looks really, really nice. You can see there's 4 buttons along here, and then there is buttons along the inside as well. You got that nice little belt going across, so if you want to tie it or undo it, you can do that. Very realistic. The actual pockets are working pockets, so you can actually, you know, maybe put his sai in here, something like that. He actually stores them on the inside of his, you know, sheath, just like he would if he didn't have the jacket on. So, but if you wanted to, you could probably pop the hands off and put his pegs of his hands in there. It looks like he's got his hands in his pockets, so that's pretty cool. So I do like that option. And then over to the back, you do have the actual backpack itself, which looks really nice. Now this isn't an actual fabric piece, that's all just sculpted on there, and it's done really nice. You can see some different lumps and texturing and buckles, all kind of different pieces going on there. Got that little belt kind of flapping there. So overall, just really nice details in general, and I really love the coat. If you're familiar with some of the customizers, they used to charge, you know, up to $100 for some of these coats and hats. So to have one at a reasonable price is great. Alright, so Casey does come with some really cool accessories. Basically everything in the sporting goods store. So of course, the biggest thing you have to carry everything is going to be his golf bag, and I think that's done really well. It is a bit of a softer material, so you know you don't have to worry about it breaking or anything like that. And it looks like it's got that leather type of style to it. So Casey basically wears it to where the access point will be over his left shoulder. So in order to put this on, I just want to go around his arm and then stretch the strap right over top of the mask here, and then you just kind of tuck it in underneath the hair, just so where that, like I said, the access to the golf bag is over his left shoulder. So that's basically what it looks like in the movie. Now looking at the actual accessories he comes with, you've got plenty of pieces. Now I'm using the weapons rack that came with the San Diego Comic-Con set, and this fits everything. And if you missed out on this weapons rack, you will be able to get it very soon in an upcoming Walmart Foot Soldier 2-pack, so you will have another shot at this weapons rack. Alright, so looking at Casey's weapons here, you do have a variety of pieces. So the first one's going to be the Goalie Stick, and you can see that's done with some white grip tape. You can see there's some dirt and some texturing on the tape, which looks fantastic. You do have a name kind of hidden behind the tape, like a brand name for the hockey stick. And then you can also see like the wood grain, so very good. And then this smaller hockey stick is going to have the black grip tape. Again, it has the brand name kind of on there, so I do like that. You have the Cricut Bat, really good design to that one, again with the black grip tape, really nice wood grain kind of going on throughout that piece, very cool looking. You do have the metal golf club, and you can see it's done with black and silver. I really like the detail and the sculpting done through the shaft there. A really cool piece. It is a little bit warped out of the package, so you might have to warm that up if you want to straighten it up. And then you do have the, of course, 2-for-1 sale Jose Canseco baseball bats, and they're done with the black grip tape. Of course, it doesn't actually say Jose Canseco, but really cool looking pieces. The detail is just fantastic all around. Now you could actually fit all the weapons in the bag if you wanted to, but really the only time he wears this in the movie, the only thing that he really had in there was the 2 baseball bats. He also had the Cricut Bat, and then he did have the 1 hockey stick. So those will all fit just perfect in there if you want to just display them, you know, going out into town, getting ready to fight Raph. So really cool accessories for Casey. Alright, and then Casey has a bunch of interchangeable hands as well. He actually has more than Raph even. So you do get the fisted hands outside of the box. Then you get 2 different types of gripping hands. So you have a tighter gripping hand and a more open gripping hand. And then if you take these away, you get a couple individual hands that are a little different as well. So you have basically like a much more open gripping hand, and then you also have, which is my favorite, you have the pointing hand, and that looks pretty cool, but you can get a lot of really cool poses out of that. So really cool. You can definitely get some expressions out of Casey with the hands and gestures, even though his mask doesn't come off. Alright, so here he is holding the 2-for-1 sale Jose Canseco bats, and he really gets a nice grip on them. You can get him in almost any pose you want. You can kind of put him on his shoulder, whatever you want. Just really great posability in the arms. And here he is holding the hockey stick, and you can see you can get him very easily in a 2-handed pose. And here he is holding the Cricut Bat, and you can actually get him in a 2-handed pose with that as well. Here he is holding the golf club, and you do get some tighter gripping hands for this, but you don't really have to use them for every pose. Alright, and for Casey's final accessory, you get the Goalie Stick, and he holds that very well. I did interchange the more open gripping hand on the left side, so it can kind of hold it like he does in the movie. And then you can see that I did store all the rest of the weapons easily in the golf bag, and they fit really nice. So just a great assortment of accessories for Casey Jones. Alright, so accessory wise, you really don't get much different with this release than you would with previous releases. The biggest draw is going to be the trench coat, the hat, and the backpack. Now if you want to take the backpack off, you can. I'm not going to do it for this review, but you could take it off if you want. Besides those awesome pieces, you do get his slice of pizza, which is the same as what we've seen before, and you can hold that in one of those hands. You do get 2 of his size, which are the same as the size we saw with previous releases, really no different. They might be slightly darker, but I think they're pretty much exactly the same. And then of course you do get the 3 bandana attachments. So you can get one that hangs over the left shoulder, one that hangs over the right shoulder, and then the one you have that you can't quite see 100% is the new one where it basically hangs over both shoulders. Alright, so you do get a decent amount of hands for Raphael here. So out of the box you do get the gripping hands, and they'll use those for the size. And then he also has these like pointing hands, but you can also use those for the size as well. That's just how he kind of holds the size. So you get a pair of those, and then you also get the relaxed hands, so you can grip onto the pizza. And here's Raphael holding the two sides that he comes with, and basically just using the standard gripping hands he already has on him. And you also get some different side holding hands, of course, that you can do some different posing with. Alright, so here's both of them fully accessorized, getting ready for the night on the town, kicking some shell. Alright, so for the first comparison, here is Casey and Raph next to the rest of the good guys in the 1990 TMNT line. And you can see that he scales taller than all of them, which is perfect. And I love the way all these look. This is 30 years in the making right here. And for the next comparison, here they are next to the bad guys in the line. So you have the 1990 Shredder and one of his foot soldiers. And I do like the way they scale. Casey is just a little bit bigger than both of them. Here they are next to some other various NECA figures. You have the 1989 Michael Keaton Batman, the Eddie Furlong John Connor from Terminator 2, and then the Jason Voorhees from Part 3. And you can see all these scale pretty well together as well. Alright, and for your vintage comparison, here they are next to the old Playmates Toys versions of themselves. So you have the original Raphael and Casey Jones, and those are from the 80s. And then you have the movie star version of Raph, which is based on Secret of the Ooze. And then you have the TMNT 3 Casey Jones / Wit figure. And you can see that's pretty close to the movie Casey. It's really the only movie Casey that Playmates Toys ever made. But it's really cool to see all these next to each other. Alright, and for the final comparison, here they are next to a couple more random Raph and Casey figures. So you have the Rebel Tech figure based on the CGI 2012 cartoon. You have the original Mirage Comics Raphael made by NECA. You have the 2003 cartoon version of Casey Jones. And then the extremely horrible TMNT 2 CGI Michael Bay movie version of Casey Jones. Alright, so that's my review of the Casey Jones and Raphael 2-pack set. And overall, man, I can't be happier with this set. The quality of the sculpts, the detail, the amount of accessories and like the fabric or cloth clothing that you get, I mean, you really can't ask for much more than what you have here. And this particular scene, I mean, just the way NECA's presented this, they've really captured one of the biggest scenes of that movie, and it's something that stuck with me for a very, very long time, and I'm sure even fans that are younger, it's also been something that they've connected with. I mean, you can't show a picture of Casey Jones or Raphael in a trench coat without somebody quoting the movie, and I think that's so cool. And as soon as this box set came out, people were doing the same thing. So I just love seeing them both fully showcased in all their battle gear. I mean, they just both look intense, man. I really love it. Even the hands that like Raphael comes with and what Casey Jones comes with, you can even tell that NECA really wanted you to try to get them in those poses they were in the movie. Like there's a scene where Raphael says, you know, you gotta know what a crumpet is to understand cricket, and those hands pretty much come with him. But you can also use them as, you know, different ways to hold the side. But when I looked at him, I was like, oh man, he's totally talking using his hands. So I really love how expressive both of these figures are. The only real knock about this set, I'm sure some people will complain that Casey doesn't have the unmasked head sculpt. And again, I really do hope they'll put that in a box set down the road. But that doesn't really knock the set itself because it doesn't come with it. It's hard to review something that isn't even included. The only real knock about them is the hands, and these pegs really are a bit of an issue. Now with Casey Jones, I didn't have any issues, but with Raphael, one of the pegs did pop out. And since then I put it back in and I think I fixed it, but there's always a chance it could break again. But I will say, because of the way there's like a rubber piece in between this peg that basically holds this peg in, and that rubber against a harder plastic is always kind of a questionable move, and it will break sometimes. But overall, I've had really no issues with this set. Everything's functioned pretty well. I guess the only other thing you could say is with Raphael, due to the, you know, constraints of this jacket, you're not going to get a whole lot of posing while he's wearing that jacket. If you take it off, he's back to that same, you know, Raphael from the previous releases, which is very articulated. But yeah, with that jacket on, he is going to be a little bit limited with posability. The only other issue I've really had with this figure is just trying to keep Casey standing up on his own. Sometimes the bag will weigh him down just a little bit, and it's the limited movement in those ankles that make it harder for him to stand. So I do recommend a NECA Toys, like one of those disc stands for him if you have them already, or any kind of stand will should suffice for him. I like this smaller disc though, because you can hide them in the photos like this. But yeah, overall, man, it's hard to find any nitpicks with this set. It's just so well done. So I do want to send a special shout out to NECA Toys for making this set possible. Just very, very happy with it. And thanks to Randy for reaching out to me and making sure I got one of these. But I didn't find one in the store, unfortunately, but a couple friends definitely hooked me up. A guy named Bongsies, he's on Twitter and Instagram. He's really cool. He hooked me up with this set. And then another guy, Robert Bilberry, on Twitter, he hooked up my buddy G Turnball, and so we both have a set now. I don't have to worry about going to Walmart anymore. I probably went to like 10 of them and found nothing, but I will say I did search a little early, but you know, sometimes California gets stuff way earlier than East Coast does. But yeah, thanks to all those guys for helping me out, and thanks to you guys for watching my review. If you have any comments or questions, please leave them in the comments section. If you like the review, please leave a like, and please subscribe if you want to see more from me. And until next time, guys, see ya.